Okay, this is lesson 30. It's interpreting pictures of fractions, decimals, and percents. Some of it's reviews, a little bit of it's new. So and I've told you before, I cannot draw circles and make them equal. Apparently I can't draw rectangles and make them divided equally either, but it's close. Closer than with the circle. So in the book they drew a circle and they divided it into 6 parts and they shaded one of them. So I have 6 total pieces in my whole thing, and one of them shaded. So the fraction shaded is 1/6, right? So that's pretty straightforward. In example 1, they give you 5 little circles. Again, they drew them slightly differently, but I do it the easy way. So I have 5 total parts. 3 of them are shaded. So my fraction of shaded things is 3/5, 3 out of 5 in total, okay? So how many are unshaded? 2 out of 5. So my fraction of unshaded parts would be 2/5, right? Example 2, same idea. So look at that. Hopefully you won't need help with that one. Now we're getting into something a little bit new. So fractions and percents are just different ways of saying a part of a number. So percent means out of 100. If you have a whole thing, that's 100%, and a half a thing is 50%. You can use money to help you think about percent. So they give you some dollar bills and they cut them up, and let's take a look at that. Okay, they have $1. Remember, a dollar is 100%. So 100, you have 100 little pennies in $1, so it's 100%. Half of $1 is 50 cents. It can be written as 0.50, so 0.50. So you can write it either way, 50 cents, or 50%. A quarter of $1 is a quarter, right? A quarter of $1 is 25 cents. And a quarter of $1 is 25%. And if I cut it up, a dime is 1/10. And you can write it with a decimal. 1/10 of $1 is 10 cents, or a dime. And 1/10 of a whole dollar, or 100%, is 10%. Okay, so those pictures, I don't know, they don't help me very much because they don't look like dimes and quarters and pennies. But they do kind of give you the idea that there's a rectangle, cut it in half, and they're using that dollar as kind of a rectangle and cutting it into equal pieces. So that's the reason they have that. Okay, so example 3, they give you a lovely square, and I can usually draw squares, and they shade half of it, right? So you could do it this way if that makes it easier to see. So what fraction is shaded? 1/2. What percent is shaded? So I know my whole, or my bottom number, so what do you call that thing? The denominator is going to be 100 if I'm talking about percent. And so what's half of 100? 50 out of 100. So that's going to equal 50%. See those 2 little zeros in the percent sign? Those kind of go with those zeros in the 100. So you can think about that as the 50. You have 50 out of 100, 50%. Okay, so now I've already kind of written my decimal. You just don't know it yet. So if I say that properly, how would I say that? I would say 50 hundredths, right? Oh, 50 hundredths. So your fraction and your decimals are pretty easy if you say them properly out loud to transfer back and forth. That is read 50 hundredths, and that is read 50 hundredths, right? If I reduce that fraction, that's where I get my 1/2. Okay, so that's pretty easy. A little confusing, but, and I think this is one of the harder things that I know in 6th grade they did, was percents, fractions, and decimals. The 50% is pretty easy, but it gets harder, so got to focus on that. Example 4 says 3/4 plus a dime is what percent of a dollar? Okay, so if I have 3/4, that's 75 cents, and a dime is plus another 10 cents, so I have 85 cents, right? A dollar is 100%, a penny is 1%. So I have 85 cents, or 85 out of 100, or 85%. Remember those 2 zeros are turn into the percent sign? So 85%. Good luck with this. It shouldn't be too hard. Again, percents trip you up a little bit, but think about them as fractions over 100, and I think it'll help. Good luck.